call this meeting to order. Please stand and face the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. First, I want to say we have Carter Edney, I think that's your name.
Yep.
From Norfolk, Maine, is due today participating in our Commission Mentor Program. I want to say welcome to Vermilion County. And today he'll be touring the courthouse to see what all the other officials do. So, welcome aboard. Roll call: Britt Mother.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yoakum, present. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes. Sure.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
There's an exception potentially with that McDonald invoice still on there. Would you like to make that with the exception of that, or you want to make the motion with that?
I'll make the motion with all claims listed.
Okay.
Discussion.
There's not been a second yet.
I'll second it. Discussion.
Yeah, we have the attorney McDonald that has submitted an invoice of which he was never put onto the county rolls officially. The Board of Health did this during an executive session. There was no written agreement, supposedly a handshake agreement of some sort, of which we don't know who did that or what his tasks were. It's an improper bill. Should never be approved.
You had an opinion on that?
Well, I looked at the minutes. It looked like they did make a final decision in an executive session, which would violate the state's open door law. I did not see, no one has shown me a contract, so I have not seen whether or not there was a contract, and it isn't clear from the minutes how they came to the conclusion they came. It just says they hired him in an executive session.
Reportedly, it's been a verbal agreement by a board member, of which has not been identified who the board member is.
Yeah, and if I could add just a little bit to that, we did receive a letter from the board president, I think Kay Smith. Is Brenda, is that right? Is that her name? Yeah. And they acknowledged some misfortunes, if you want to say that, during the process, and they assured us in that letter that that wouldn't happen again. So I have no issues paying this $400 bill and moving forward.
We have exceptions with, we have issues with paying county commissioner expenses, but yet we'll pay a bill that's not even a proper bill nor properly engaged. I have problems with that.
What I'm recommending is, and it needs to be done, is having an executive session with the Board of Health and with the administrator, with the new Board of Health officer, and with the board. I think we have some things that before we move too far forward, we need to get together and discuss some things, and that's what.
Well, I agree with that, but that has nothing to do with this expense. It's still an improper expense, and we can't continue to approve improper expenses like we've been doing.
I think that could be addressed then.
It's still an improper expense.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I do want to see how we can set up that executive meeting.
I'm looking up the code to see if you can do that.
I'm not sure it can be an executive meeting.
Yeah, that's my concern.
I'm not sure it should be an executive meeting.
Yeah. Some of these things need to be addressed, and I have no problem addressing them. We can come back to it.
Yeah, just give me a few minutes to look here.
We'll move on and let us know toward the end or something.
Can do that.
Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Treasurer's report. We met the treasury report for the latter part of your Okay, I think I've marked it off. We should include what's that.
Lauren DePruitt, Vermillion County Treasurer. You have the treasurer's report there. What I have is the interest report, and you also have a copy of that. The main checking account earned, you can see there's a variable rate and a variable balance based on what the feds did. So the main account earned $7,243.73. The ARP money earned $356.69 for a subtotal of $7,642. And then we add in Trust Indiana and CUME reassessment is a CD with Old National, and the grand total is $7,836.95 for the month of March.
Big change in it.
Big change.
So interest rates are kind of going up, so that's affected it.
Yes.
Any questions for Brenda?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Public comment? Anybody have public comment come up and to the podium, please? Open issue, COVID update from the Vermillion County Board of Health. COVID-19 update, Vermillion County Health Department. Total tests for the month of February was 46. March testing was 10 of these tests were done at Vermillion County Health Department. Total positive cases from 2/1 of 22 to 2/28/22. I don't think that's right. Total 140. Okay. Total positive case from 3/1/2022 to 3/31/22 was 13. This number does not include any home test results. Vermillion County is currently in the blue status, which is a low spread at this time. The difference between February and March has a significant change in the positive COVID-19 cases. Number of Vermillion County residents that are fully vaccinated are 7,231. These individuals have had 2 doses, either Pfizer or Moderna, or 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson. Booster total is 3,193. CDC recommends everyone ages 12 years and older receive a COVID-19 vaccine booster after completing the primary COVID-19 vaccination series. Moderna and Pfizer offer a booster doses 5 months after you have second vaccine. Johnson & Johnson booster available at least 2 months after receiving your Johnson & Johnson vaccine. If eligible for a second booster, which are adults 50 years and older, at least 4 months after your first booster. All 3 vaccines are offered for booster and second boosters for adults. Teens 12 to 17 years old may only get a Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine booster. The testing of vaccine sites have scaled back to the hours to Tuesday and Thursday from 3:30 to 6:30. No Saturday clinics at this time. That's your health board. Remain Rise.
Morning, Bob Greeley, Vermillion Rise. Just thought I'd share a few updates, answer any questions. We did hold the first mushroom event and seemed to go just fine within the confines of the area there. So thanks to everybody that participated and helped pull that off. 3 more weekends, so a little warmer weather might help the prospects along. We meet, not this Thursday, next, the 21st, our regular board meeting on 3rd Thursday. We're inviting our gas management utility out to help just kind of explain to the board how our natural gas system works. It's rather unique. So rather than me trying to explain it all, we're going to bring our partners in. But we are in a good position to move natural gas in a very cost-efficient manner. It's been sort of one of our key value propositions. We are also, we put out an RFQ for architectural services. We really wanted to get someone on board to look at 7700, our big administration building. We've talked about making some improvements and sort of want to know that there's no underlying issues, big cost items. You know, we are concerned about the roof and some other things, and getting a professional opinion about remaining in that building for the foreseeable future and what we might be up against down the road. Continue to work with some economic development prospects. Phone call yesterday about the Shell building, so I think the Shell building continues to get attention. It's one of the few, available buildings in west central Indiana. Let's get somebody to lock in on it. Looking here. We are going to meet with IDEM and ask them for another extension on our agreed order. We had a lengthy agreed order in 2015, and we've done everything except take our water reservoir out of the water system. So we're going to meet with them in Indy and make sure that they're still adamant about doing that, and then if so, if we can get another extension, because it's a very expensive proposition, and we're not in a cash position to do that. We also have talked before about availing ourselves to typical funding, because we're a unique organization, a reuse authority. We're not eligible for Okra and other sorts of funding for infrastructure.
The change on your status that was approved through the state of Indiana as far as your government entity, how's that going to affect you
Yeah,
guys?
well, I guess we'll find out this fall as we, shop insurance and be able to prop that up in front of the carriers that there's no misunderstanding. We are a unit of government, and we have, liability limits and those features that should help us.
Doesn't that bring in Okra and actually community crossings and different other avenues for funding?
Well, Okra relies on beneficiaries, and we do not have any low moderate income people benefiting from utilities at the Rise. They're business tenants. Our roads are not public, so it's just all these little nuances that seem to create challenges to participating in USDA. Their funding is based on a rate base capable of repaying a loan. Our rate base is six customers, so it's just unique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any update on your solar?
Yeah. Well, we're still working all the angles. I think we're getting closer to an agreement right now. For instance, where we want to understand, we've never really platted our right-of-way for our roads, and so we kind of are trying to rush to at least conceptually do that, so that we understand that we're not going to lose a piece of right-of-way in the course of the project that we just didn't prepare for. So we want to do some housekeeping like that.
Have they already applied for a permit to us, to the county?
Well, I think they have their use permit. That was some months ago, but I understand they'll come back to the Plan Commission for a building permit.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess they'll have more detail about the actual installation and all the particulars about the build out. Yeah.
Over at the Rise, or not the Rise, at the jail across the street there, they're looking at some parking issues that they're starting to get into, space requirements and so forth. Mentioned to them that they might be able to approach the board or the Rise about using that parking lot that's on the outside of the fence as you go into the entrance there.
Right.
Contractors are obliged to carry the people over with whatever means that they're obliged to do so. Have they approached you yet?
I haven't heard from them yet, but I did visit the sheriff, and I'll agree with you. It is pretty crowded.
I'd like, anyway, don't be surprised. I've asked them to possibly get with the board or with the Rise to ask about the potential of using that and what requirements you might need or have or whatever it might be. Also, there was one of the contractors that approached the Rise about using a rental agreement on one of the buildings there.
Mm-hmm.
And the agreement that they received, now I've not read the agreement, I have no idea what it entails, but they said it was so restrictive that there was hardly any way that they could use the building without almost being responsible to rebuild the building. Now, I'm sure that's a far-fetched, well, I'm not so sure it's far-fetched, but it's
pretty tight.
You might want to look at your agreements.
Mm-hmm.
When you're, especially if we have buildings that are not in very good shape already. Anyway, I'm sure you guys are looking at those things, but it sounded a little bit maybe over the top on some of these agreements, that we may want to look at those, especially since we're looking at what is the risk compared to the value of the properties that we're looking at
Yeah,
here.
that's fair. I mean, we've got a canned lease. And you're probably right. We do ask for replacement. And if some of those buildings went, we wouldn't replace them.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all I have for now. Thank you, Bob.
Vermillion Trails Association, I think that Tom going to do a presentation today.
Good morning, Tom Milligan, Vermillion Trails Alliance. So a couple different things to report on. First is the victory races. We had like 123 people actually finish the race. 160 had signed up. So we had basically 77% of the people who paid the entry fee actually came and ran the race. And I mean, there's things that happen in life, and it was cold and all that. But so that's and it from the 5K, the half marathon, the marathon, all of them ran in this high 70s on participation versus entries. And there were 72 finishers in the 5K, 39 in the half marathon, and 12 in the full marathon. And another very interesting that we had counted like 53 volunteers that helped make this happen. 53 people, and that includes the people that helped stuff packets and the people that were out there. People were out there at like 5:45 in the morning until 4:30 that evening, and so it was a Herculean task, I guess, to have all the volunteers out there to make this happen. So there's, and we did have an evaluation. The trail group will evaluate it at our next meeting, thinking that we're going to go forward with this. He did send out evaluations to all the participants. We got 25 different respondents on that. And the bottom line is, would you do this event again? 24 said yes, 1 said no. So the people were, you know, there's little tweaks that we can do, and we'll take those under advisement to make it, if we do this again, which I think we will, we always try to evaluate and make it better. Okay?
Did you run, RJ?
I participated. I didn't run. Well, I take that back. I ran from the start line about, I'm gonna say a half a mile maybe. Then after that, I decided to speed walk the rest of it.
How'd you finish?
Improved my time from last year of like I think 58 minutes last year to like 45 maybe this year. So I mean, I set the bar pretty low last year. So we're gonna constantly move it up.
That's quite an
He beat me
improvement.
this year. I didn't participate. I had to work. Very good job. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think we're going to make it's our primary fundraiser for the year, and I think that that went quite well. And the thing that makes it are the corporate sponsors and all the sponsors that put with their names on the T-shirts. I mean, there's where you make your money out of the thing. And
How much did you guys raise?
we'll have to talk to Lynn. I don't know the final figures for sure. If I'd say it wouldn't be right, so I better not say. But it's a significant fundraiser for us, and we're quite thankful for all the participation that we do get. And one of the things on the evaluation, I think that having it in March is, I think we'd be better served to have it go out and have it in April.
Yeah,
Even if we compete with the Carmel, we'll have to look at the participants, how many came from Indianapolis to do ours, and how much of a conflict that would be with the Carmel Marathon. But we had people from Missouri, we had people from Iowa, we had people, the winner of the half marathon was from Kokomo. His pace on the half marathon was faster than the winner of the 5K. He was just, and so he was flat out on it.
Where was he from?
Kokomo. There were people from around Cincinnati, and one guy from Hawaii ran it because he wants to do a marathon or half, whatever it was, in all 50 states. So this is how he checked his box. So we did get quite a circle of participants in this event. And part of that is that we are certified. Now we certified the course, and that means can qualify for different things. I do know it costs us like $1,600 just to get the certification for the course. So the marathon, half marathon course, that's a big deal for some people.
Can you explain the certification, what that means?
some guy comes out there and does a very accurate measure of the course to ensure that we've got a full 13 point whatever it is miles that make a half marathon, and you run the course twice, and then you get a full marathon. And there was one spot out on the West Patrol Road where they just went, you know, a couple hundred yards on past where their turn was to get that point to come back to make it exactly that the mileage would be precise. So, and this allows people to qualify for the Chicago Marathon, for the Boston Marathon, for all the big races. This is something that you can use for qualification for, you know, national, international events.
When will ours become a national event?
Next year, it's already a national event.
Okay, when will
Yeah,
it become international?
International.
I guess we're
well,
international. Didn't we have a guy run that was there last year or something? It wasn't a marathon though, was it?
No. So anyway, anyway, I think it was a very successful event, and I think we can make it. I mean, we've got it planned to be bigger and better for next year. And Mark O'Hare—Mark's not here. Okay, Mark O'Hare. I mean, he would like to use this maybe next year as an event for emergency response people, as a you know, have everything there. Not that our event qualifies for it at this point, but to have everything there when it does qualify as a bigger event, that we've already practiced this. So, and he was there with his gator thing that if somebody was hurt, it has the litter in the back where he can take somebody that is injured. And we had people out on the course to watching all that. So, I mean, it seemed to be a safe event, a well-attended event, and you know, could it be better? Sure. We're going to make it better. Other questions? Then the other thing is our Hillsdale Trail, the Montezuma to Hillsdale Trail. We've been back out there. We just last week planted hundreds of trees. We had to do mitigation for any tree that we took out. So we did all our tree plantings in. We've got our signage at Ace Signs to get finished up. All the different things, the punch list that we have to do to get our final payment on it, and we're very close on that. Now it's just a matter of getting the inspection done, and so we can get full reimbursement for the state for our grant. So we're still out there doing those final things that will make the project meet the qualifications that they have.
I got a letter or response from Les Zimmerman. He wanted to use the seal of the county, and I told him I'd bring it up here that we all approve them putting the county seal on their sign. And so you guys, it's up to you, but I think
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I have no
just want to
issues.
make it official.
Yeah,
Okay.
Welcome to Vermillion County. I mean, that sign it's at the sign shop, you know. I mean, that's one of the things. And Les has got this stuff, the post and everything, the metal, to put it on. I mean, that's the first thing we want when you come in to cross that bridge is welcome to Vermillion County.
What's the status? What's with the railroad ties that are stockpiled there?
They're sitting there very safely. I mean, there they are. I don't know. I mean, the railroad ties are in a place where there were railroad ties that sat there for generations, so I assume that they're still in a spot that was designed for railroad ties.
Well, he does have a legitimate concern, and I think we all, because that could become a liability.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, what are the alternatives for the railroad ties? If you figure that out, why help us figure that? I don't, you know, that was the best solution we had. I mean, you could leave them in place and it would be a constant maintenance issue, constant tripping issue. I mean, you could have covered.
It was good to remove them from the trail.
Yeah,
so.
and then, but where do you?
I assume they're all in pretty poor condition.
Well, not everyone was in poor condition, because that's what we used to do our fencing, our guardrails they call it. That was all the best. They were sorted. The best ties we used for the guardrail that the state required.
Can it line, or I've walked the trail, but can it line the trail with those in places where it's little steep on the sides.
Well, that's what we've done with I had pictures, you know, but the pictures are on my thumb drive right here, but you can't plug these into the system here because it could have a virus or something. So I had full pictures to show you. I'm sorry, I can't do that. But that's all in the photo presentation, and I would have loved to have shown that to you.
Sure.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, we'll try to figure this out for next time. But I think, and if I can make sure a picture's in there of where the ties are at, they're on the railroad right of way. They're not someplace where ties had not been. They're just in a place where ties had always been. But they're kind of concentrated. And I mean, it is your project. I mean, there's no doubt that it's all titled to the Vermilion. I mean, all this was done for the commissioners of Vermilion County.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Get that when you walk by.
All right. Sponsorship for a race, thank you very much. And we just had lots of participation, and we're just thankful that things went as well as they did. So thank you.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Next, we got the jail. All three of us commissioners went here last week on a tour of the jail. I thought it was very impressive. Seemed like they was on schedule and things are going as planned. You guys want to comment on that?
The construction schedule and the dollar and the time are all well. They're matching each other, tracking each other well. We do have a material delivery that looks like it's been delayed till August now. That is on the critical path, and looking to see how that might be scheduled or changed where it won't necessarily affect the time schedule, but that's still pending at this point. Things are progressing well, moving right along, and we should see some substantial changes by July. Actually, we'll be moving people over in July, I guess, where the inmates that we have now will be transferred over to a completed section of the jail.
RJ, you got a comment?
No, other than the jail's moving forward, I look forward to seeing it complete. I think this would be a huge upgrade to the sheriff, the jail staff. I mean, in some of the places they were working in prior, it's just going to be a really big upgrade for them, and I'm just ready to see the project completed.
Mike Phelps, you any comment on that? Good. Good.
Good job summarizing.
Next, we got up the ambulance committee, and what we've got on that is Bill Costello, Mark O'Hare, Kevin Wickens, and Rick Weir, and Brent Lewis. And that's.
I'm in agreement with the names that we have on the list at this point.
Okay.
I don't know that we need a motion, but
I just would like to ask, I know last meeting I made a motion or a recommendation with 2 other names, and I don't necessarily have a problem with this committee of 5. I would just ask that, what were the reasons for replacing the other 2 with Kevin Wickens, and I think Rick Weir were the 2 that replaced Randy and Amanda?
well, Randy's not been very positive about things in the past, and he votes no usually, and I don't see him being a positive influence on this committee moving forward, especially if we're looking at a capital investment. So he's never been one to actually promote things that well. I didn't see, what we're looking at is people that can cite a, 1, come up with costs, 2, cite a location, 3, to, I guess, engineer or scientifically locate where these ambulance services or these services, if we decide to go forward, to provide a well-planned siting committee, I guess, is the best I can come up with at this point. And an E911 director didn't appear to be one that would fit into that mold, as well as these 5 individuals.
One of the things we had last time is, I don't know if you know it, RJ, or not, but what we usually do when we do research on committees, that we share everything with us before the meeting, and RJ didn't get that to us early, so we didn't have time to evaluate it. So that's another situation. But anyway, that's the ones we got standing right now.
Anyway, if we're in agreement, I'd like to make this a formal standing committee. If we're not in agreement, then yes, we need to pull our horns in.
What do we got to do to pass this as a committee?
Two of you have to vote for it.
Okay. Call for a vote.
I'll make a motion that if we have to, if we're not in agreement, I guess, I'll make a motion that we'll approve a standing ambulance committee, which I've drawn up I think I sent that to you already about what the task of those people would be. In accordance with that, I'd like to nominate these 5 people and to move forward with that committee. It'll be good up until December. I'd like to put restrictions on all these committees that we have so that we can reaffirm them at a later date, but up to December of this year.
I'll second that. Discussion.
I don't have any other discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Out of curiosity, why do you think Randy Dreer and...
I just think the committee of 5, I mean, Rick, I don't have, like I said, I don't have a problem with these 5 people. I just believe Randy's been on the council for a long time. He's always been a prudent voice when it comes to, conserving taxpayers' money, and I just think he would have been a good addition on there. And Amanda Murphy, I think, was another good addition that served on the 911 board, had some background. But that's, like I said, my opinion. You guys have yours. But I think these 5 that you guys selected will serve well. I just think the other recommendation would have been better, in my personal opinion.
Okay, moving on. New business. USI is here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Good morning. Brandon Adamson, USI Insurance Services. Thank you for having me in today. We are the brokerage firm for the benefits for Vermilion County employees. We've been working with your team, Leanne and Brenda and the insurance committee, to work through the renewal benefits of each line of coverage. The main piece, the biggest piece being the Anthem medical insurance. What you have in front of you was also provided to the insurance committee. Where the Anthem renewal initially came in was a 24.3% increase through negotiations with Anthem. That was lowered down to 11.9% on an increase. And then in addition to that, they are giving a one-time credit back to Vermilion County. They're offering that to take the renewal down to a flat 8% in total. There's no changes to the plans, and I'm open to any questions.
Is someone here from the committee? Insurance committee?
Yes, sir, yeah. Leanne.
How do you favor, how's your views of this? Why don't you come up if you could?
Leanne Smith, Human Resources for Vermilion County. I think it's a great plan. The county has wonderful insurance, thank you. And it's a benefit for all of us. And I think with Brandon's help, we need to go forward and approve.
Did you
So we're-
provide
we're
a written recommendation of any sort, or it's just verbal?
Just verbal? Yes.
And so we got a rate increase of 8%,
Yes.
and across the board, is that the standard in other insurance across? Is
I
that-
think,
Trend, if you talk to any given carrier out there, trend is going to be running anywhere from about 11 to 13%. And when you say trend, just for anyone that's wondering, that's a carrier's stance on what any given service is going to cost next year versus what it's going to cost this year. So as you look at trend, you're arguably under that. I'd also note that as you look back, if you include this year's renewal, you look back over a 5-year period and you average out the renewals over a 5-year period, it's a 1.68% increase over a 5-year period. If trend is arguably in the double digits every year, high single digits some years, 1.68 over the course of a 5-year period is pretty stable.
And Brandon, wasn't there some places that were looking at like 30% increases this year or 40%?
Oh yeah, I have other clients that have seen substantial increases. I have the largest one I've seen in the past 6 months came in at about a 34% increase right off the bat.
How's our expense ratio? I think it's the word. Is that?
Yeah. So you're running through the end of last year. You're running at about in the low 80s, 82% as far as loss ratio goes. So in other words, at the end of the day, what that means is the premiums being paid into Anthem in this case, 82% of what they've paid in roughly has gone back out in the form of claim payments.
So roughly $800,000 has been spent back out from.
Yes, sir.
Roughly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You had any issues through them? I mean, anything?
No.
Is there anything that we can do as a county to cut our insurance as far as?
I mean, the first thing I'd say that comes to mind is, and this is not a popular, I'll probably have my tire slashed outside when I get out there, but the first thing I would say is wellness. I mean, it's a well-known stat within my business that less than 30% of the U.S. population has seen a doctor in the past 12 months. And just for the record, that's pre-COVID. So, you know, when you talk about, you guys have some high claimants on your books. And the reality of it is, if you can catch, you know, people talk about wellness and it's got a negative connotation to it because somebody always wants to see an ROI on it, which I get that. But the reality of it is, when you look at your large claimants, you know, your large claimants are accounting for, going by memory, your large claimants are accounting for almost $400,000 worth of claims. And that's between 4 people, okay? So my argument is, if you can catch a stage 4 breast cancer at a stage 1, you've done a huge service to the employee or their dependent, first and foremost. But secondly, when you talk about the claims dollars, catching those early is significant. And you do that through financially incentivizing employees and spouses to go and see a physician once a year for their well visit, for their physical, age and gender appropriate screenings.
How much participation do we have in that, you think, for us employees versus?
Sure. So
I
out
don't
of
know if that's available on this.
Sure. So I mean, let me back up. So are you asking how many are seeing a physician once a year right now?
Is there any data that you got there that shows?
Anthem will not release that specific data.
Okay. I'm not saying who. I'm saying a percentage.
No, they will not release that specific to us.
I mean, how can we do that? Do we ever have something in place to help encourage people to get
Sure.
their,
So we have within USI. So I kind of, for lack of better words, I'm kind of the quarterback of our team. Even though I was the center, I play the quarterback of this team. So we have within USI population health management specialists that all they do, their sole existence within our company is work with our clients to develop wellness programs. And so what I can tell you is everybody is unique in the stance of what the tolerance is, what they think will work and what won't work. And so, long answer, short question is, we can have a conversation with your team to tee up what that looks like, to look at different ideas, to see what would work. Everything from gift cards to an extra paid day off to whatever, you name it, is used. What I will tell you is, what we see the biggest engagement with is when there's a differential in the premium paid in their paychecks between those that engage and those that don't. And so at the end of the day, that is where we see the most traction.
You're talking about the wellness program here. Was that discussed with the committee and any of those alternatives of providing the wellness program?
Yeah, it was discussed, but no decision was made.
So it wasn't something not recommended then by the committee, I take it?
Well, it wasn't not recommended, it was just discussed.
Okay. You said 82% of the funds went out, so I assume Anthem retained 18%?
Yes, sir.
What's a typical margin that a company's looking for?
When you start seeing above 75, depending on the carrier, and you start seeing above 75 to 80% loss ratio, you talk to any underwriter within a carrier or any underwriters that work for our company, they're going to tell you that when you hit that 75 to 80, the underwriter for the carrier is going to start looking for an increase in the next year's renewal.
I noticed that we got a credit, but yet we have an increase in our rates, our premiums. Why do we get a credit and then have an increase? That doesn't make sense to me.
Sure.
Right off, anyway.
So at the end of the day, let me be clear, first of all, I am not an underwriter. I'm a consultant, but what I can tell you is when an underwriter looks at a case, they have financially where they are comfortable placing the risk factor. And so in an instance where we're trying to get to a lower renewal, but the underwriter on the case is saying, hey, I'm comfortable at 11% or whatever the number is, I'm not comfortable moving the actual rates below that, but the company as a whole is willing to give something else back to help get to a lower overall increase, they will then give a credit because the underwriter is saying, hey, I'm not comfortable going below X, but the company as a whole is saying we will give a credit to help get them down further.
But the credit's not revocable, is it?
No, sir.
I'll have to look into that. Okay. The ACA rates went up 10.2 in Indiana, but yet we're up at 11.9. Is the difference because of, well, you tell me why there's a difference there.
So when you say ACA rates, let me be clear, are you talking about ACA individual policies or ACA group policies?
This would be, I believe, individuals.
Okay. So you're
I'd have
really
to
comparing
that, though.
No, that's fair. No, that's fair. So two things. One, so if we're comparing group versus, if we're comparing Vermilion County versus ACA individual rates, you're still in the fruit family, but you're comparing apples and oranges. And so at the end of the day, if you're looking at ACA group though, you're still looking a little bit more comparative than you are with the individual. But with the ACA group, on those groups that are sub 50 employees enrolled, the ACA, if you talk to any underwriter, anybody from Anthem or elsewhere, they're going to tell you that on an ACA group under 50 employees, the medical history, the claims are not played into the renewal increases. Demographic factors, male versus female, there are varying factors that play into the ACA rates. Vermilion County is not in that space, and so your claims are factoring obviously into your renewal. And so that's what, I say you're comparing two different items, you really are.
Sure. Right now, we have, I guess, benefits available only to 40-hour plus employees or salaried employees, office holders, etc. I'm used to a full-time employee actually being a 32-hour employee, or someone that's part-time, if you will, up to 30, if you have 32 hours in a week. How would that affect us if we did something to that effect? In other words, people that are not a 40-hour employee anyway.
Sure. So you really need to go down to 30 hours first and foremost. And
I'm sorry?
You need to go down to 30 hours, 30 not 32. And how it would affect, that's an unknown factor, because here's the reality of it, is if you take 3 employees that would be eligible, and they're all males and 19 years old and healthy as a horse, great, the underwriter's going to love that. If you take 3 people that are several underlying conditions, one that has cancer, one that has, there's factors that we have zero clue about in those people and what their factors are. So there's no way to answer. Law of large numbers says in our business, the more enrollment, the better. That's a general rule of thumb. So that I can tell you. Now to say that it's going to lower it by X percent or it's going to do X or Y, it's not something we can put it to.
In asked last year, and I guess about cities and towns, apparently we can incorporate those into our healthcare or offer it to cities and towns where they want for their employees as well. I guess you kind of answered, so if we increase but surely there's a break off in there, because we have 80, 90 employees that are participating in the healthcare at this point. Surely you have to have just by adding 10 doesn't change the rates that much, if at all, or
no.
Increases the liability. Is there a break off like 500 or 100 or 300? Is there some number in there?
Sure. Generally speaking, again, if you talk to an underwriter, they're going to tell you, most carriers are going to tell you that they reserve the right to re-underwrite a case when enrollment changes by 10% or greater. I've been doing this since 2007. I've never seen a carrier actually re-underwrite a case. and I've seen significant changes in cases before, upwards of 25%. So to say that there is a factor of a certain percent where it's going to make a significant difference, you know, if you're sitting at 80 and you add an additional 10, or, you know, if you come in and you add, if you double your enrollment, yet you're talking about a significant difference, and that's going to move the needle. Now, is it going to move it to the negative or the positive?
Sure, you don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine, but.
Okay.
So what we have here is that on 2021 it was 1.256, right? And then for this year it's 1.406, right? Million. So it's roughly $150,000 difference than what it was previously.
How many employees would, if we did drop down to 30 hours, how many employees would that affect?
None.
That would be,
None.
we have nobody that's part-time at 30 hours anyway,
No.
or plus. Okay.
So what we need to do today is just make a motion to approve this, or what we at?
It's up to you guys. If you want to approve it, then you would vote whether or not to approve it.
And I also want to note just briefly, we've been talking about the medical because it's kind of the bigger, you know, the dollars, everything else, pennies on the dollar really. Other four pieces that are included, lines of coverage, the Anthem Life renewals was a flat renewal. The Voluntary Life through Mutual of Omaha, also a flat renewal. Sun Life Vision, flat renewal, and the Paramount Dental is a flat renewal. So as far as the change goes, the medical is the sole piece we're looking at.
Does the county participate in those dollar-wise, in those
Just
other
the life
programs?
insurance. The life insurance is paid for by the county.
And what about the other dental,
No, they're
vision?
sole employed.
Okay. Why is there such a small difference between the PPO and a high value, or whatever it's called, the HMA, is it?
Are you talking about what the employees are paying, or are you talking about
Yes.
what the actual rates from Anthem?
No, the difference that the employees are paying. It looks like they're very close. I'm not used to seeing those
Sure.
being that close together. I don't understand why they're so close together, for that matter.
So the rates, first of all, to be clear, the rates are set by the county. So USI has nothing to do with where you guys set your rates. We don't dictate that. We did do some modeling and sent it over to your team on moving those numbers, making them I'll say more drastic difference, but actually making it more of an incentive to look at the high deductible plan or the HSA plan. But that's beyond that. We don't get involved in where you set your rates. That's up to you guys.
Then why did the committee decide not to move employees more toward the high deductible plan? I assume that it's a value to the county as well, right?
It depends on how much they put into the HSA.
Right, well,
Yep. My turn. Hi, I'm Brenda. I'm the auditor. The HSA and the PPO, it was a big enough, it was a very, very large difference. And we honestly didn't think that we didn't want to make that big of a difference in the PPO. We were kind of like, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it attitude. Yep, I know you love that, Britton.
county motto, I guess.
It is, but we feel that the insurance is a benefit, and the standard that the county has, we don't want to lower it any. We like to keep it high. We don't want to change it, not broke because don't fix it, because it's very, very good. And I think that it is also one of the things that draws people to come to work here as well.
What's our breakdown between people participating in HMO or
Do you have it? I don't have it
PPO
all
and
listed down there.
Yeah, the PPO and
High
HSA, so
deductible.
it is actually under section 1, first page. You've got 48 participating in the HSA, and you've got 37 in the buy-up or the PPO plan.
And
And that's as of the renewal, to be clear. That could have changed between now
And
and
how
then.
much difference does that make to the county as far as what we're paying into the insurance plan?
I mean, at this point, not much, because, I mean, to your point, there's not a drastic difference in the enrollment. And so really, at the end of the day, and the cost really structure from Anthem as a whole. So not a significant difference from my perspective.
Did you make a recommendation to the committee as to what those rates ought to be?
We gave options, and that was where that was left.
Okay.
And to kind of piggyback off what Brenda said, you know, this is a big benefit for our employees in the county, and yeah, it does cost the county, like you see, it's going to be $100,000 increase, but we retain very good employees throughout the county, clear from the courthouse to the jail to the, well, I don't know about dispatchers. I know Mike has trouble retaining some dispatchers, but overall, you know, overall, the county employees, we do have great employees, and they do say the insurance is an added benefit. So at the end of the day, the committee felt like it wasn't worth changing some of these things and losing good employees. I mean, I hear every day our employees say, man, I would hate to go someplace else because the insurance is not even close to this. And we have good people here in Vermilion County, so, I mean, the short answer is that's why that if it's broke, don't fix it. Kind of, you know, that's the simple thing for that.
And to go off that, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that I understand is if we were to change, it's next to impossible to get this back.
Yeah, so if you would make a change, I mean, at the end of the day, if you start moving, and it depends on the what you're looking at, but if you start looking at premiums, it's a tougher swing when you say, hey, we're going to make the differential between the HSA and the PPO, whatever that number is, X%. We're going to raise it and we're going to change it. To RJ's point, if you start losing employees, at that point, you're really looking out the rearview mirror versus looking at the windshield. And so, you know, while it can be changed back if changes are made, depending on the changes that are made, there is heartburn that comes with that, I can assure you.
And if the county chooses to, again this year, which also needs to be in the motion for the insurance, is the extra $1,000 per employee for HSA contribution.
How does our county compare to other counties as far as, we're always doing these comparisons for the payrolls and whatever else that goes along with these things. How do we compare with the adjacent counties of our size?
You guys stack up very well. You're pretty, when you look at your overall, whether it's the premiums or whether it's the plan designs, you guys stack up very well from what I've seen.
You got a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to accept the health insurance proposal from USI as written and recommended for the Health Insurance Committee to give all employees who participate in the HSA account policy $1,000 annually, payable quarterly of $250.
Could you repeat that?
I can if you want.
That's all. I'll second the motion.
Second, discussion?
I would prefer that we not get down to the nth hour whenever these are being presented, where it's basically we do or die or have to go to special meetings. So in the future, if we can start this process a little earlier, I'd appreciate it.
Part of that, right, is that it's the timeline of the actual insurance companies to get the claims. They push it back. It's not like it's really a choice that we have.
Can we move our date forward then?
You can move it forward, but here's what we're always going to run into. When you're looking at, just to be frank, when you're looking at municipalities or anybody, any group that's having to go through a formal committee or board, if you will, for approval, it's all about the timing of dates, obviously, that goes without saying. And so even moving the date is going to still be a factor that we're going to be looking at. When does this meeting occur? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we missed this meeting last month by a matter of less than a week, as far as when the insurance committee did meet. And so, it's certainly something we can strive to do, and we'll note that.
Yeah, it's basically a do or die. Either we don't have insurance or we pass it. So that's why I don't appreciate that type of.
And let me be clear about this as well. Your contract with Anthem is a month-to-month contract, and so if you guys just decided, hey, we're going to renew it, but we, for whatever reason, aren't happy about something, as long as you give Anthem 30 days written notice off renewal, you can cancel your insurance anytime.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Understood, but that's.
If we can get it further ahead, I'd appreciate it anyway.
We'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks for your business.
Thanks to the committee for doing your job. Appreciate that. What do you do with this Clinton Public Library, this appointment?
According to what I have, it's not due until December, if our spreadsheets are correct. December at the end of the month, so. I'm not ready to replace the person at this point.
We'll
even if
table
we
it
show
till
them.
next meeting for further
And
discussion
I
and
don't, yeah, we've
investigation.
not even considered anybody except for what,
Okay.
I just saw this, I think yesterday, that
Yeah.
the
That's
library board had presented this one person.
Is this your ordinance on there, Brett, about authority to sign contract?
Yeah, we had this on there previously. This could have, we've already had two incidences, one with the Drainage Board and one with the Board of Health. If we had this in place as an internal control, that they basically just cite what authority they have to be able to contract services, basically professional services. It would have maybe prevented this, but it would have at least made them look into the issue. This was a suggestion from Mr. Spur, our county attorney, some time ago to do this, as opposed to having to look at each individual or getting into an issue in the county like these other two have in recent history here have occurred. I'd like to reintroduce that motion, or reintroduce that ordinance. It's already been here twice. It was read the first time and I think defeated both times, actually.
Brenda, did you send us a list of ordinances every day from 1999 that 98? Is it not similar to this, or that are already on the books? Because I was reading it and I don't want to reinvent the wheel if we already have an ordinance that maybe we can just, you know, edit or fix. But I was reading some of those and it seemed like those were purchasing contracts as well.
Oh, that's purchasing
Purchasing
agents. That
contracts,
has nothing to do
things.
with this.
Purchasing contracts, everything's correct.
Yeah, that's a totally different. There's a difference between a purchasing agent and a purchasing agency.
You might want to revisit.
Yes.
Are we talking about somebody that needs paper for their office and they're going out and purchasing paper for their office, or are they hiring somebody to put a new roof on the courthouse? So I think that you've got two very different things going on with the 1990s ordinances that talk about purchasing, and what Bretton's talking about, hiring somebody for professional services through a contract that will then bind the county to have to pay money.
No, I think
Just
it
to
makes
clarify.
sense what you're saying, but I think this needs clarification, because there's no way we want office holders have to, every time they do something, have to go cite something, they gotta go buy paper. But
Well,
like I said,
typically, this will be the same, if they have the authority to do this, it'll be the same authority from here on out, unless the statutes change anyway.
Did you send that paperwork out on the ordinance in 2001, or what was the older ordinance that said all elected officials had permission, and
That's what
you said.
RJ's talking
Yeah, I
about,
think that's
the
in the-
mid-90s ordinances that
Yeah.
talk about people purchasing things, and that's where I think what Britton's onto is there's a difference between saying it's okay for people to go out and buy the things they need to run their office versus when they're hiring somebody that might obligate the county to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to a professional. Does that person have the authority to do that? Should they cite what that authority is within the contract that they're signing?
Okay, but would that be a difference in size of contracts too? I mean, any
Not
contract?
if it's
or-
if it's a professional contract, well, let's just take McDonald. Who knows? That was a handshake contract. If they would have proceeded, then they could have cited what that issue was or what the statute says. They would have looked at that, and then they would have said, well, we can't do that. There's a big difference between being able to go out and purchase day-to-day goods, and that's what the purchasing agent does, the day-to-day goods. The problem is when we get into people signing contracts with copy machines. Here we are, recent ones that were out there go for maybe 5 years, and then they have sunset clauses, I think it's called, where they continue. Nobody ever goes back and addresses it until it's broke. There you go, when it's broke. And then we have a payment at the end to be able to even change it out. We can't even change companies because we have contracts signed that now we owe another $1,500 if we want to get out of the contract. So these are issues that people are signing, anybody's signing in the county, and if the office holder does have that authority, all they have to do is say, this is my authority to be able to bind the county. It'll probably be, most likely it would be the same citation every time, so they will have to look and see what authority they have. And I think that's a good internal control. If they don't have the authority, then that just causes the county problems going forward, and whether it's a legitimate contract. And again, it's not a problem until it's a problem. We've already had 2 times that's been a problem so far.
So how would you address that, something like that, and make it simple for everybody, and yet still work?
My thought was if somebody other than the Board of Commissioners, which is the county executive by statutory definition, if somebody other than the Board of Commissioners is going to sign a contract, they put in that contract what their authority is for signing it.
Okay, so how would we make that clear and easy for those where they'd have that information and know what they can do? You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what I think is the easiest thing. If you're not a county commissioner sitting in a public meeting and you're getting ready to sign a contract, you better say what your authority to sign that contract is.
Statutory authority, IC,
Yeah, you just say, I have authority under this section of code to sign this contract.
That's what I'm saying. How do we make that so that information is available to every office holder and they know what they can and cannot do? If there's a code, they all use the same code, the same, you know, where does this start and where does it stop, amounts, you know?
Well, the easiest thing is, if in doubt, bring it to a public meeting and have the Board of Commissioners sign off on it. That would be the very simplest default that they could do, because then there's absolutely no question. The executive of the county signed the contract in a public meeting, so that satisfies all your requirements to bind the county. If you're not in a public meeting, there should be a red flag raised up. I'm about to sign something that's going to obligate the county, by definition the taxpayers, to pay something. Should I make sure that I have authority to do that?
Office holders have an
offices.
obligation. Well, some of them have that authority to sign contracts.
Yeah, some do.
I.e. the RISE, they have the authority to sign contracts. It's quasi-governmental, but still they'd have that authority to do that. They don't have to come to Board of Commissioners. There's probably some others out there that can do the same things. I'm not sure which ones those are.
We're talking about different offices with different responsibility, doing different things, and we're not clear on what.
And that's what it was originally started. That discussion was, could we develop a list of every office holder that had authority to sign contracts and every office holder that didn't? And the problem is statutes change every year. So yes, I could put a lot of hours into making that list, and on July 2nd of this year, that list might not be accurate anymore. And that's kind of the problem with trying to do it by base of a list. To me, the simpler legal solution is just to say, if you're not the board that specifically signs contracts, which is the county executive, then you need to be on notice that if you're picking up the pen to sign a contract, you better make sure you have authority to do it.
We're talking about contracts. We're not talking about regular purchases.
I'm not talking about going out and buying paper and paper clips and, you know, toner cartridges for the copier and things like that. But someone's gonna, you know, if one of Brenda's employees decides we need to have the outside of the courthouse tuck pointed, I'm going to call up a masonry company and sign a contract, and you're obligated to pay $150,000 because someone signed it.
And we are open to that now.
Yeah, that's kind of been the problem, is you're letting whoever sign contracts. Or at least, like Britton said, it's happened twice in the last year.
I think something needs to be done, just need clarification on it.
And we can work on language. If you don't like how the ordinances are written, we can rewrite them to be more explanatory, if that's what you want. But I think
I'm just saying we need to be more clear with the office holders so they know what's going on. I mean, so they understand anything.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. John, did you write this ordinance up, or
I did. It's
Okay.
been I don't know, 6 months ago or
Okay.
more. But yeah, I originally worked with Britton to write an ordinance to try to get a control on that.
Okay. Do you think there's any issues with the previous ordinances in '98, or do you think they're serving their purpose, or should they be looked at since we're looking at this at the same time?
You know, I wasn't even a lawyer when those were
Oh,
written.
and then
I'll have to go back and reread those.
I figured since we were on this, if we wanted to clean them.
We could try to just make it into one overarching
That's what I
ordinance that addresses both day-to-day purchasing and signing contracts. And
That way we could
one-
just clean it all up in one.
We can do that.
That would be kind of my recommendation, is move towards that. Is
Are we going to repeal those then? Is that what we're going to?
well, I think, yeah, you kind of look at them, and if we feel that they're good, I mean, leave them, or like or John suggested, put them all in one. You know, we repeal them and then just make one new one.
I mean, we have a problem there. I think we need to address, but we need to be very clear on that moving forward. You know what I mean? Come up with something here that all elected officers know and clear and makes it.
Yeah, we can put them into one, but I thought the 1990 ones were clear in themselves. But
yeah, I just glanced at them the other day. I haven't read them thoroughly, but I glanced.
I thought they said that all elected holders practically let them do what they want to. I thought.
No, it doesn't say that at all. There's a difference between an agency. The county's an agency. The county commissioners are the head of that agency.
Right.
I guess the one thing, they've almost named everybody a purchasing agent.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, that's an agent, not an agency. That still says they can't bind. They can go out and buy things just like I guess any county employee can go out and buy a pencil and charge the county for it. So we've made about everybody. I don't know if there's any exclusions of anybody that's not a agent, purchasing agent. So we may want to be more restrictive, I guess, to say who can actually be a purchasing agent. But right now, it's probably just about anybody in the county can go out and buy something and charge the county for it.
So could we put something together?
I'll put something together for you guys to look at.
The whole thing, we
to
want to be
try
clear with everybody.
To try to get a handle on
Clear.
that stuff, yeah.
And I think you got a good idea right there. Just trying to figure out some way to make it clear and more simple for everybody. We'll work on that, right?
Sounds like a plan.
Office and departmental reports and considerations. The ARP, we do have a board set, the ARP board, and Brenda, all the names are.
Ashley James, Tenio from Brenda Furry, Bart Mooney,
Bill Reynolds.
Bill.
Do you guys have a meeting set?
Getting ready to. We're trying to. Bart Mooney is setting us up on a Zoom meeting, and other people, I don't have a problem with. They want to be involved. Also, want to have Doug Hess or Lynn involved in all those meetings because we're involved in economic development. And the Zoom meeting will be coming up, and then we'll start having more regular scheduled meetings on that.
Okay, because I still would like to potentially ask the ARP committee to look at funding for Bridge 90, since that is on the list of potential, you know, I don't want to say catastrophe, but, you know.
Well, send that letter or send some type of.
To Brenda, and she can share with you guys.
She can distribute it.
Have we ever formalized this committee, or is this still an ad hoc committee?
We formalized that last meeting.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Okay.
So we're getting ready to move on, getting some things done on that. And like I said,
yeah, I'll send that to her.
submit that to us so we can look at that.
As far as
I
the
think-
ARP goes, I'm sorry, Tim.
Go ahead.
I was just at the West Central meeting, and they said that we need to make a motion in a meeting, that we are going to clarify that we are going to use the lost revenue as our source of reporting. It's not an ordinance, it's just a motion, and that you guys have to make that motion in a formal meeting for the minutes.
What type, from what I understand, we don't have, well, do we have to provide documentation of that lost revenue?
No. We fall under the Tier 5, which
Understood.
is under 250,000 residents, and we received under $10 million.
Okay. So motion is all that's required?
That's all that's
At
required.
this point, anyway, until they
Yes.
change it again, right?
Well, yeah.
So
I would like.
I was just gonna say with that, I would, with Brenda's recommendation, I'd like to make a motion to use the ARP state and local fiscal recovery funds as lost revenue due to the fact that Vermillion County is eligible as Tier 5 under the U.S. Treasury guidelines.
That's
Second
not on the
motion.
agenda, so I'm trying to figure out, can we go ahead and do that without it being on the agenda?
Yeah, you can amend the agenda.
That's true.
I got it on.
It's not on the agenda, though. So.
Yeah, it's right there.
You have the motions, not about the motion, so.
I second the motion, by the way.
Discussion.
When we do that, that means it becomes basically unrestricted funds at this point,
Correct.
Yes.
and
There will still be some reporting, but it will depend upon how you use the money.
and the council needs to agree with that. Is it a certain dollar amount that they have to agree to, or is it every single dollar or penny that's spent?
Yeah. It will have to be done as an additional appropriation. just like we do now.
So I have a line item to it, okay.
Other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Joint, I haven't heard back from them on the, have you heard anything back from them? We need to find out when we can say that money is going to come back available. That was roughly $700,000, correct?
Right.
Have they already awarded that stuff for the
That
state?
has never been, we haven't been notified of it or heard anything of it.
Okay.
AT&T also put in for it too, correct?
Yep.
And we haven't heard nothing back from them. So we need to call the state. That's one of the things I think we need to find out is.
When they're gonna announce the winners.
Because that money has not been appropriate to, we need to realize that money is available again.
With broadband, I think Brenda was talking about satellite services that are, low-level satellite services are providing this type of broadband now at some reasonable speeds. Is the ARP committee looking into that?
Well, that was my whole thing. I'm talking about from what I see is there's some areas in this county that will never be reached with a wire, never be reached with underground because it's not feasible. And I think one of the things I'd like to see is do a study on it and find out those and maybe offer the ARP money, offer them free installation. You know what I mean? Pay up if they want it. That way there we are doing something for those people that can't benefit no other way. And we're helping cover more of the county. That's just one of the things I'll be bringing up. Because it is, we have someone here who has it now. And how does it work?
It's fantastic. I do know that there's rules with the ARP and the money on the standards of, I'm not technically challenged, I'm technically challenged as far as the gigabytes and the meg, whatever.
Yeah. Originally, some of you might have heard the story, some of you haven't, but originally when it started, we want to get the whole county covered. You know, that's a big thing about moving our county forward. And Charter Communications with the federal government had a contract of providing service to Vermilion County. And what we was doing, we knew that it was going to cover X amount, and it was going to try to get the rest of it, you know, covered. And then I think it was May of last year, I got a phone call from the state, and they said Charter Communications backed out of their contract. And so we got left out. So we had to go back and start planning all over again. And I've been after the legislature about asking them if other counties about funding, where's our money at? And I haven't got no answer from that. So, anyway, we'll move forward on that. Economic development. Wait, anybody else got anything?
Bridge 90, I made more inquiries as to other funding, and anyway, I've struck out basically. I've not been able to locate another funding source at this point, so it looks like that it's going to be either we wait till next year for community crossings to come back in, or the ARP money, or I don't know that we can wait another year for this, or should wait another construction season on this. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the big concern is there's only one entrance and exit into this homes of I think 50, 60 homes back there, and you know the engineers did cite that as a, what do you want to say, a high priority replacement.
Also, we're out of time. We may have to rebid that, or we'll need to continue that bid. We need to consider that. I think White's.
They were low bid, yeah.
They were, but we've gone beyond the period of time in which we've honored that bid, and we may have to rebid that at this point.
Okay.
There's a consideration also of changing that to a concrete surface as opposed to asphalt surface. It's starting to change as far as the prices go as well. So we need to think about how we want to go about Bridge 90, how we want to rebid it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I do want to say congratulations to Britt. I don't know if we mentioned it last time. He applied for a bridge replacement in District 1, and it was like $1.2 million, was it?
Somewhere in that range, yeah.
And what we are trying to do, and it hasn't been done in the past, is do an evaluation of all of our bridges. And the thing about it is, if you can stay planning out far enough ahead, instead of paying for all of it yourself, the federal call for projects is like a 20% match. And so that's what Britain's been working hard on, is how do we get all these bridges out here in a long, you know what I mean, in a schedule of replacement instead of wait till it falls in. And so we're doing some more evaluation. Instead of the county paying 100% of these bridges, they're going to be paying 20%. We got Bridge 1 to 22 2 years ago, got approval for that, and it was $800,000, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes,
one there got
800
funded.
plus, yeah.
Got funded. Now Britt's got his over $1 million, so I'm saying that's good. Commissioners are working to make these things happen. I think it's very important, good planning. And so I appreciate everyone what they're doing on that behalf. Economic development. Doug Hess. Appreciate what Doug does. I'll get him close.
Good morning, Doug Hess, Economic Development. Just a quick update with the RJL Solutions. We have been meeting with them, so we are on schedule to launch our social media at the beginning of next month, so the beginning of May. We're also working with them to list our priorities for lobbying with the state for next year. So we have already had some preliminary meetings with them. But if there's additional things that you would like to have on the agenda, please let me know so I can get that to them. And over the next several months, we'll be working on and finalizing that. We're also on schedule with the branding process. That's probably going to be at least an 8-month process because we're going to have all different type of input from different elected officials to businesses, etc. Friday, I did meet with a prospect who was looking at some land. Unfortunately, we signed a non-disclosure form, so I can't share too much with that at this point, other than we've been showing them some property here in the county. So,
When are setting up the Economic Development Board differently? The advisory board, I would like to see that come back. You know, the reason why we did what we did was to get the proper structure there. And what's your take on that, bringing eventually doing it?
yeah, I think that's something that we will be doing, that we need to, for a variety of different reasons. One that comes to my mind would be the revolving loan fund. I mean, we've had a couple of bankers in the past that were on our board. I think those are well-positioned individuals that would be able to give some insight, some expertise on whether or not ABC needs to be awarded a loan. So that'd be one example why I think it would be very important.
So it's still on your radar?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We had our first board meeting since the reorganization. I think it was the 6th, if I remember correctly, just kind of looking at the calendar right there. And so I do not remember off the top of my head, but I think it's whatever that first week in May is, we'll be having our May meeting. You have to forgive me, I just don't have that off the top of my head what day that is. But they're all open to the public, so we will be having that published.
Do they do the consulting for agencies as well as just the senators and representatives whenever?
Oh, for RGL Solutions?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've already been listing several different things. For example, tourism was one that we had listed that we would like to either me go over to Indianapolis or have Indianapolis, the head of tourism, to come over. I mean, that's just one of several different organizations that we've talked about.
One of the things that RJ's brought up here recently is about county engineers. There's an interest apparently with Park County, or Park County's approached us, or I'm not sure which way it went, but of the mutual interest anyway. There's a proposal in front of NDOT that I'd like to see if they're going to proceed with this or let it die so that we can either proceed with our county agreements or engineering, or whether NDOT's actually going to do something with this. It's come to a little bit of a stalemate at this point. Or I don't know if it's a stalemate, haven't heard back. Went through first part of legal, they said it appears now it's had a second point of legal. I'm not sure how many legals there are, but
Right.
It's need to know what that time frame is, whether they're looking at a year or where this is like 25-year plan. So
I will try to ask tomorrow. I'm going to be over in Park County tomorrow. They are releasing their housing study, so I've been invited to go over there and just kind of see what they were doing through the Purdue Extension. So I'll be meeting with some of those individuals tomorrow over at Park County. And
it's not really, Park's not really part of this NDOT thing.
I'm sorry.
They may be if it's a regional. This is a regional engineer
Oh,
that
okay,
NDOT would actually
sorry.
provide, of which there's not necessarily a need, or we can decide what we want to do as far as a county engineer goes. But if the state is going to provide a county engineer basically on a regional basis, it will influence our decision as to whether we want a county engineer sitting
Gotcha.
only here or in combination with Mark or Fountain or anybody else for that matter.
We've
So-
been in conversation with Park County for several years on this. And originally, the state would pay like $40,000, wasn't it?
They still will.
It was originally, they was
Per
paying
county.
$40,000 per county to help you hire an engineer. Well, I talked to Jim Meese here about 2 years ago. He got it going where the state would approve that 2 counties could have the same engineer, and they could take the $40,000, put together, get $80,000 and share it. That's the kind of thing we have going on in Park County. I
Gotcha.
think. And Britt's got a great idea too, because it was trying to get a regional, it wouldn't cost us nothing, but that decision there that he's talking about is holding us, making a decision with Park County. And if you come up with $80,000, you could, maybe another 10 or 15 thrown in by the county, you're not gonna get an engineer for $50,000.
Right.
So that's probably just a $100,000 investment, in my opinion, 110.
Well, with what I've seen of PEs right now,
Can't find
we
them.
probably won't find one in the short term here anyway, till things settle back down.
So we got 2 different plans there, and the one that Britt's got is the one that kind of holding us up from making this other decision, so we get clarification, if they're not gonna do it, then we need to move on, right?
Yeah, or if it's extended out.
Yeah.
They should be able to make a decision fairly in a reasonable amount of time, but if you don't push them, it's probably going to take longer.
Okay, anybody got any other questions for Doug?
One other thing I'll just add real quick that we're talking about as an office, something I don't think has been done in the past, is this year at the county fair, we're going to have a booth at the county fair, and we're going to have a theme Monday through Thursday every night. One will be like partnering with the Indiana Small Business Association. If you want to start a small business, let's say in Vermilion County, we won't have a presentation, but we'll have some folks that you can talk to get that ball rolling. I've already talked to Thrive. They're interested, especially with the aging population. We'll have a night like that. So we're looking at different themes to have, and just to get our name out, let people know that we're here and that we're open to ideas, and we want to talk. So.
I think that's really important that you're going to that extent. One of the mainstays of this county for people is to get small businesses to start up. That impact on the county would be far greater in the short run. If we have a major employer come in, fine, but those are further down the road potentially, and who knows when they'll come out. But these others are very important, and they will stay in the county for the most part. So
Well, it'd be nice to start a small business that becomes a
I
big
like
business.
these small
They all
business
start small.
ideas. Yeah,
So
this
that's-
county is ripe for that.
Yeah, so that's something we're working on for this year's fair.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
County office allocation. Most of you do know we bought the bank across the road, and we do have possession of that now. It is property of the county. It's named the Vermilion County Courthouse Annex. That's the official name. I met with Bose from Ace Sign in Terre Haute, and he gave me a quote for $375 to do each side of that sign. So it's $750 to redo that sign and actually have the new seal put on there and everything done to that. So that's something that you guys can think about if you want to do it. That is some information I'd have to pass along to you guys. So that's something that is within our scope of doing, and
What was it?
putting a new sign, replace the sign in here. So if you guys want to think about it, if you want to say, and he'll draw something up, send it back to us, and see what you think of the design, and see if you approve it, stuff like that. So
I'm in agreement that you can take the lead on that
Yeah,
if
that's
you
fine.
want.
That's fine.
I'd like to see the mock-up though.
yeah, I mean that's what we do. I mean he'll send us a proof, and you guys look at it.
Yeah,
and say,
that's fine.
May want to do something different to it.
Yeah, that's fine. I would, with the space allocation request that's listed on here, I know we did send out an email maybe a month ago, and we did ask for them. We do have several people that were interested in it. I would like to see if the commissioners would like to invite these people in and talk to them, because somebody may only want to use part of the building, and maybe some we put a lot of people in the building, or maybe one office just goes over there. We don't know.
I've got almost complete a proposal, I don't know what we'll call it, a mock-up, I guess, of the layout of what it could be. It has variations in it that can be accommodated depending on who.
Yeah.
Is there, I think we ought to have a little bit of a, I wouldn't call it an open house, but where we have the office holders come in and the departments come in that have offices now to look at the facility, just so that they can see what it looks like today anyway. and maybe that'll raise some other interest as well.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So, if anybody wants to, we can set a date and walk people
So
through it.
we need
if
to
you
figure out
will.
what we're gonna do here, about
Mhm.
getting people in and actually setting a date or some way we're gonna.
Well, if we
make
want to
this
do
happen.
the open house first, because I know there's at least, what was there, 5 departments that were interested in it?
I don't remember.
I think 5. At least those 5 should go over and look at it. And then, like Britton said, maybe just have an open house where anybody can go over there and then say, hey, the commissioners are going to have a administrative meeting where you can come in and talk to us about your thoughts and ideas, and that'll kind of steer us before we say we're going to put 5 offices over there or 2.
Mhm. I'll have a mock-up of it. Again, it has a lot of flexibility, I think,
a lot of
as
room
to
over there.
depending on who occupies it.
Yeah.
So,
This is a nice building, I mean, it's 2,400 square feet
no,
roughly.
2,880 square feet.
2,000 what?
880.
Oh, wow.
3,000.
It's a good building, good
So we
building.
want to set like an open house today, or do you want to wait till the mock-up's done, or?
It should be done in a day.
Okay.
Or again, it's just a proposal. It shows you what flexibility we have with space. That's
Okay.
what it
I'd say if
does.
you guys want to pick a date next week or sometime.
I think also in the evening, if people wanna come, well, most people work days, so they could at least come too. I don't know.
Well, I'm more interested in, we'll have an open house for the general public, sure, but I'm more interested in finding who's interested in the
Yep, I
county
agree.
to move in there, or who has that
And I think we
possibility.
could do, courthouse hours, like you could do like an 8 to 4 and maybe ask Terry or somebody to go over there and open it up and let people go through it.
I think probably one of us ought to be there. if we
Well,
can.
if we could
Well,
split
the
up
office
time.
holders can we have, Brenda has a key to the facility, and that's another thing we'll need to address, is how we want to secure the facility at some point too, whether we want it to be equal to the courthouse, or how we want to have it keyed or secured, basically.
Okay.
So, not a discussion for today, but soon.
We'll try to set something by next meeting, come up with a recommendation by next meeting to set a date and time, or we're gonna
Yeah,
do something
we
there.
can, and then we can go into open meeting about who's interested and
Okay.
what the space might look like.
Okay, next meeting, I guess. Okay. Public Defender Board,
Nancy Wilson sent a letter. They're not moving quite as quickly as what they thought they might. April 1st is supposed to be the kickoff. They're still in the process of hiring a chief public defender. I think they're trying to get that completed by July at this point. So we are ready to house the public chief defender down at the EOC, and it'll be up to them and us to work out a program.
did they express any interest in that building?
Over here?
Yeah.
They did. The prosecutor's office, probation. There were several. There was 3 or 4.
Okay. Okay, is that all you had, Brett, on that?
Yeah. Yes.
Cheyenne, recognize her for her ERC accomplishment.
Yeah, appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
She will be our point of contact on writing her community crossing grant and entering all the
And the
information.
federal programs as well, so that's
Congratulations.
Nice
Heard that
accomplishment.
she did it very quickly and it was no problem, right?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Appreciate that.
No, thank you.
County seal recognition use. I think most people know that we now hold the copyright on the seal, and so therefore, if anyone uses it, they need to get permission from us. Is that correct? Would that be the way?
Yeah, you could cease and desist somebody if they're using it without your permission.
Okay. So that's like today when the Trails Association wanted to use a seal. I thought it'd be best if we all know that someone's using it and grant that recognition and that use to them.
Probably ought to do that formally, or some type of letter from the commissioners
can do that.
granting them the use of that.
We get a standard letter, right?
Yeah,
Just have a
we can
standard
put-
letter
yeah,
we'll
we-
sign.
Yeah.
I think it would be appropriate anyway.
Yeah, and I still would like to, if we could, write a letter of thanks to Liza Porter for.
Someone could do this.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just from her designing that, because I think she done a really excellent job on that. So.
Mean Mrs. Porter?
Yeah.
Yeah. She won that in a contest years ago. Good people. cleanup days, May 5th and 6th, and also we have the roadside cleanup. We have here today, I want to show all new vests. Got 38 of them donated by Grizzly. Ron Pitt, Mr. Pitts from Grizzly in Terre Haute, donated 38 new vests for our countywide cleanup day for the roadside. And there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I've been working with getting sponsorships for the dumpsters. I talked with Penny and she said we needed 6 dumpsters for the roadside cleanup, and so far I've got 4 out of 6 of them paid for. We're going to sponsor is White's Excavating, Elanco, Duke Energy, and Wallace Brothers. So if anybody wants to help out on 2 more dumpsters, $350 a piece, let me know. And I think it's good that we get some of this stuff funded by the local organizations because it's buy-in, and also the roadside cleanup. You can get hold of Penny. She's got set up where they got the road trace tracker going on, where different roads are. When you sign up, you tell them what road you want. It goes on that list. And long range, it'd be nice if people, RJ, or you guys come out one of these days, maybe have signage on roads. You know what I mean? If people adopting roads, I know.
Yeah, we had talked about that a little bit, kind of like how the state does adoption of roads and stuff, and having little groups like maybe the FFA or VTA or something, or even I know down in Elanco they're cleaning like a whole, I think a mile or something down there in Elanco. Maybe put a section on it, they keep it clean so many days a month or once a week. But yeah, I think that'd be something neat to look into in the future.
And right now what we got on that's going to be the April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And there'll be dumpsters at District 1 and District 3 garage. And I am working on getting some the baggage for the garbage bags, try to get them allotted. And also I said that we need 2 more sponsors, so if anybody wants to sponsor that, a dumpster would be appreciated. RG, you got anything to say? Britt, you got anything to say about that?
No, appreciate you getting those sponsorships already. 2 more. What businesses was International Paper on there as well?
I called him, got a phone call back from him. I called
Okay.
Rusty Acres and he hadn't called me back,
Okay.
so I think I need to get hold of someone else over there.
Yeah, okay.
Any other recommendation or to get over?
That's what I was trying to think off the top of my head. I don't off the top of my head. What about the Vermilion County Community Foundation? Would they maybe sponsor something with Dale White or the Western Community Foundation?
And if people want to sponsor dumpsters for our regular cleanup day, they're welcome too, you know.
Yeah, we'll take,
We got roughly a $20,000 budget, right, for that?
Yeah, and then on the countywide cleanup days, I know last year Councilman Rick Weir donated some time to help take money and see people in. So if any other elected official would like to help on cleanup days, I know we'll take them. We got plenty of vests, check people in, and it gives you a whole new version of cleanup days, and you see that firsthand of what comes in.
Plus those are up for election this year, might want to show up.
Yeah, if you're up for election, absolutely, you can come and put on a
careful
vest
now,
and
we're in
help.
a public meeting. The other thing is too is the tar day coming up.
Yeah, tire recycling, is that May 15th maybe?
It'll be May the 14th. Tar recycling, 8 a.m. till noon at Vermilion Rise Mega Park. Britt and I worked out, I think, last year, and it was quite fun.
I prefer cleanup day over
First
tire day.
8 passenger tires free, $1 per tire after 8, and truck tires $10, truck tires $20, and extra large tires, I don't know what it's going to be. Get over Penny and make questions about that. So three nice events that are going on in our county. Anybody got any other comments on that?
Do we have any goals for the roadside cleanup on how many roads we're trying to get adopted miles wise?
Every one of them.
Every one of them? Well, I'd like to think we got enough groups that we could really get a lot, like the VTA or the FFA groups. I'd like to think
Is
we
the
could.
jail going to do anything? They did it years ago. Any cleanup? Any roadside? The roadside cleanup?
I can't with what's going on right now. The ones that we have here locally,
There's no.
we're not taking them out. They're either problem children or health related that are here locally. Everybody else is out.
Okay.
Will the reserves won't do anything like that?
Next year, we should be able to.
I don't know.
Next year.
When is it? Is it pretty busy this month?
It is this month. April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You've already got it.
I've already got
Everybody
quite a
rise.
few of them on the 23rd and
Mushroom hunt.
24th for the mushroom hunt.
Yeah.
Go mushroom hunt and pick up trash.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're moving on that. Cross out the treasurer on I. We ain't doing that, as Ray did it. Homeowners assistance, where'd that come from?
I don't know who sent this out. One of our agencies did. But if you need assistance for homeowners because your payments are an issue going forward anyway, or in the past, I guess, the applications are being accepted. And I've got the information here. If you want to give me a call, I can forward it to you as far as where you go to get the applications for this. But to qualify for an IHAF, as determined by U.S. Treasury, the application, you must be a homeowner, and there's a definition of that. Have an income equal to 150% of the area median income, adjusted for household size, and then have experienced a financial hardship after January 21st, 2020. And it says associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, which I don't know what that really means, but anyway. If you're having a problem making your payments or whatever, this program is available. Get a hold of me and I'll send the website or the link to be able to fill out the application.
We put that on the website, that link is.
Oh, well, never mind. Get a hold of, or look on the website and you'll see it there. A public announcement, a public service announcement, excuse me.
Who had the National Child Abuse Prevention Month, too? Put that on there.
I did. It was in recognition of public or issues with abuse, I guess it is, for juveniles and kids and so forth. This month is a recognition of that. It's more prevalent than people realize. Well, maybe people do realize it, but it's a prevalent issue in the county, or not the county necessarily, but in the state and the nation for the most part. So I think we fare maybe a little bit better, but we need to be cognizant of it anyway.
I also have a report from Penny Carpenter asked for, and keeping up with building permits. I have issued 12 building permits. I'm assuming this is from March the 14th to April the 11th. 12 in the last month. 5 of them for pole barns, 2 of them for cabins in Vermillion Help Townships, 2 new homes in Help Township, 1 portable building and 1 addition, 1 in-ground pool. So this update from the building permits. Building First Financial, we've already went through that, or do you have else anything to add that, Brett?
Nothing else. I do have some other announcements if you don't mind. State Road 71 is going to be closed potentially at St. Bernice on 7/5 through 9/30. There'll be a state route will be relocated around 63 and 163, but they're going to be replacing a structure there. It appears to be a culvert there in St. Denis, so you won't be able to necessarily go through 71 anyway, continually through it anyway.
Last time we had that happen, Brett, we had them go around and videotape all the road, actually the condition of the road, because the state will, if they have any issues, they're supposed to take care of. I know you're familiar with that, but that's what we did last time.
We will have to come up with a local routing around, but as far as heavy truck routing, they're not supposed to be, and we may want to post whatever our route is. We need to come up with a route and let the state know what that is for local traffic. But if you're on the heavy trucks or oversized equipment, it will be restricted. We won't be able to travel down 71 anyway. The courthouse is also closed this Friday for Good Friday, April 15th, so everybody's aware of that. We also need to have an executive session at some point concerning the jail issue. Do you want to set a time for that to get published?
Excuse me. I turned the button off. Turned it on. What now?
We need an executive session concerning the issue for the jail. Do we want to set it? We have to have 48 hours, I think, for an executive session. But I'm going to be gone next week.
What's the
Does it need to be done before you leave?
Well, the 2 of you can handle it, but at least 2 commissioners need to be there, though.
What is the purpose of the executive on the jail?
It has to do with the lawsuit against
Okay.
the jail.
Okay.
I've got the number for it.
Yeah, I sent that out the other day. I just had forgotten, so if you've already got the number. you can go ahead and set it.
5-14-1.5-6.1B.
I didn't get all
But,
that.
Huh?
5-14 what?
Dash 1.5 dash
Oh, that's it.
6.1 parentheses B.
B as in boy?
Yes.
You want to try to schedule it? How flexible are you in the next week?
Next week I'm not going to be available at all. Next week I'm out of state.
John, what's your schedule like the rest of this week? Because I know we got 48 hours, so
I
will
can
that leave?
participate on phone, but it won't be, that won't count.
Yeah.
I mean, is it that urgent?
I'm off Friday. I could do something late Thursday afternoon, if there's enough time there.
I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
It'll be in the next week.
Well, either way, it sounds like there'll only be 2 of us then, either 2 this week or
Monday,
2.
Tuesday, Wednesday of next week,
Well,
or
this
nights
week I
I'd be
can't.
available
Oh.
in the morning or
Yeah.
late afternoon.
Hmm?
I was meaning
Do
this week.
Wednesday morning next week.
Do Wednesday morning next week? You'll be gone, right?
Yeah, because we don't think it'll take that long, do we?
5 minutes.
We can do next week if you want, if that's all right.
You can let us know what you think about it, too.
I can give my opinion, but I won't be able to vote though.
Right.
Yeah, we can do Wednesday morning. What time works for you, John?
Meet up here at 8:15.
8:15 next Wednesday?
I'll get up at 6, I'll just come over here.
What is that?
20th?
Okay.
Alrighty.
You got anything else? We didn't have,
Seems like there's,
we need to have public comment before we close, because we usually have that at the beginning, and it's not on here. But
last thing I have is, about 6 weeks ago, I sent to you a proposal or an evaluation of the county going to one county highway instead of 3 separate individual independent highway systems. There doesn't appear, except for folklore, there doesn't appear to be a reason that they went to the 3 highway system. People have their opinions of why we went to that, but apparently it wasn't done by ordinance, and apparently it wasn't done by resolution, maybe by agreement in some way or another. But it's over by going to a one county highway, there's a number of things that come into play there that will increase the efficiencies of our highway department. And I'd like for you guys to start looking at it. We've had it for 6 weeks. It's about a $1.2 million difference up to that. It also opens up the possibilities of opening up the Garage 2 to a recycling center, an ambulance bay, a maintenance center, or some other use as well. But depending on how we would like to restructure it, or if we restructure it at all. I believe that the financial incentive is there, and I believe that the incentive for the use of the buildings elsewhere or for other purposes really weigh in heavily right at this point. So at our next meeting, I'd like to get into that, the nuances of that program of going to one county highway system as opposed to the 3 independent county highways.
okay.
If you have some questions, it'd be nice if you'd ask the questions. I've not received any yet, or any comments for that. I did receive one comment that you're going to make comments, or you want to make comments. I think that was the comment. So, but anyway, if you'll get those together so we can maybe have responses where they're not just knee-jerk responses anyway, or if there's some where we're going with this.
Sounds good. Anybody got any comments before we close? Adjourn? Going. Dawn?
Thank you.
Someone
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion?
All in favor, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Shine, you got all these papers for me to sign? So I can skedaddle out here and go spot